The internet is slow. Welcome to What If Tomorrow on the Fringe, the podcast where we step beyond the ordinary and into the unknown. From UFOs and cryptids to lost civilizations, strange disappearances, and conspiracies that refuse to stay buried, we ask one question: what if? Tonight we follow the clues, ask the questions, and try to find the signal hiding in the static. This is What If Tomorrow on the Fringe, and this is where the weird has a home. Welcome to another episode of On the Fringe. I'm Mark.
I'm Pam.
I'm Jess.
I'm Enzo.
And that was the prototype for our new intro. I've still got some tweaks to make to it so it covers the whole screen. I'd like to give a big shout out to the band Ultraterrestrials, who's letting us use their music for the intro. And go out on Amazon Music and download their album. It's called Catastrophic Disclosure. It's actually a lot of fun. So I hope everybody tries it out. Next time it'll be better. I'm sorry. I'm not that great of a video technician.
Oh no!
Everybody was peeking around the corner. It was great.
It was great fun. Oh my goodness.
Now, that will spur me to fix it even faster. You know.
I kind of like it.
This 6 days a week crap's just killing me. Anyway, Enzo should be back on here in a minute.
I hope so, because he's going to carry the whole show tonight.
Yeah, we may have just completely blown his mind.
He was so excited he had to get off of here. Oh my goodness.
Have. There he goes. He's back.
No idea what just happened. Everything closed. I don't know what happened.
Well, you were leaning around. You must have hit something when you leaned around.
Yeah.
I'll have that fixed by the next time we're back.
My cheeks hurt.
All right. But do give those guys a listen. They're great. They've provided some great music for us. All right. Well, that being said, tonight's show is about UFO UAP disclosure that's been in the news lately, and we will attempt to trouble our special guest Enzo Cyrille to talk about Contact in the Desert, which he recently came home from. And he made some really interesting side trips that, we might be able to tease those stories out of him too. So, with that being said, the last few months they have been dropping quite a bit of stuff in the news, and I've heard all sorts of outlandish things about it. And then a lot of it just seems to be the same stuff that we've been getting, more of the same. The same sort of sightings, the same sort of videos. Not much has changed, but what that tells me is that the volume of it, and it seems to be a fairly common occurrence. They just haven't been talking about it. So it looks like we lost Jess.
Oh no.
She's been having some internet actually, everybody on here has been having either computer or internet problems tonight. So the aliens are trying to keep us from talking.
Right.
I'm
not the aliens. It's the government.
That's right.
Or our crappy internet backbone providers. I don't know.
Our internet service providers have failed us again. I actually bring Streamyard for everything anyways nowadays. Their service has not been great.
I've not had too many complaints. Tonight is the worst night I have had for for streaming anything in quite some time. So you want to talk about some of the headlines, or just kind of a
Yeah, let's just dive in.
So one of the biggest ones, have you seen the one about the Apollo 17 lunar triangle in 72? That was one of the things that got released. Shows 3 distinct dots in a triangular formation in the lunar sky. While known to investigators for years, the new official Pentagon caption explicitly states that the preliminary U.S. government analysis suggests that the feature is potentially the result of a physical object in the scene rather than a film flaw. So
Yeah, for many, many years, because all of the NASA stuff that they put up, honestly, nearly everything that they have released so far in one form or another has been made public before. There's a few exceptions, like more recent footage and stuff like that we haven't necessarily seen in a wide format. But all of the NASA stuff has been poo-pooed by NASA for many, many years. Oh, these are lens flares and artifacts of the way that they, the film, production was, the development process, and random acts of radiation that have caused, highlights from the film and things like that. Which is not the case anymore, apparently. They've certainly backed away from
that. Might actually be an actual object. We don't know what it is.
Which, to be honest, in the grand scheme, because I certainly got into this argument more than once out at Contact, is that actually is kind of progress. As silly as that may seem,
it really is.
We're kind of backtracking on some of the previous debunks that were kind of lazy and not well thought out.
Well, and see, that's what drives a lot of the conspiracy theories, is because when they don't want to talk about it, they make up just the most inane, asinine stories to try to explain it. And you're going like, that isn't even logical. What kind of mushrooms are you trying, and where? I mean, I'm not wrong.
No, and there, even back when they would say them, I mean, we can go back as far as like swamp gas, but which was always kind of ridiculous. But even with that kind of stuff, like the radiation, like that NASA really hung on to, like, oh, these were just random cosmic rays affecting the film. If something like that were hitting the film, the entire negative would be wiped out.
Yeah, there wouldn't be
like
little
the entire
spots just in the sky. They'd be on the ground, on the...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They'd be in the foreground. They'd be everywhere. They wouldn't just be... It just happens to be in that dark sky that is directly above.
They're counting on our ignorance, is what they were doing. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and, they capitalized, especially back in the 60s and 70s, on the trust that everybody was giving to the government at that time, because this was just such a fantastic thing. And of course, the news outlets were just totally hammering down on that. And so, oh yes, our technology is so fantastic that this is exactly what it is. We know exactly what it is, and it's not what it looks like.
It's a great voice.
Well, yeah, that's my 1970s newscaster impersonation.
It's great.
Kind of very nice.
It's kind of a composite of 2 or 3 different ones. Maybe I should grow the old stash out a little more and give me a maroon jacket. Oh yeah, it's got to be bushy. Maybe get me a bad rug on top and
oh, that could be interesting. Like episode, get you a big old perm. Great. You're not wrong though. I mean, you've got clear back, we got Project Sign, you got Project Grudge, up to Project Blue Book, and that was always the official stance. It was always the same. There is no evidence of any.
Deny.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at least today, because one of the discussions I got in, one of the many discussions I got into out at Contact in the Desert, were people arguing about that very thing. It's like, they're not telling us the full truth. They're not telling us, like, hey, it's baby steps. 10 years ago, would you even imagine that you'd be standing amongst a bunch of other nerds with whiskeys in your hands going, they're not quite giving us enough. It's like they're giving us a little bit. And I do think that
for my lifetime.
Yeah, they're certainly at least saying, hey, we're not 100% sure what some of these things are. The second batch that they put out a couple of weeks ago of videos and stuff like that, there's a lot of birds in there. There's a lot of videos of birds. However, there are a couple of videos of these orbs zipping in and out of clouds and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know what the hell that is. Yeah, that's not a plane. That's not a drone. That's
what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Speaking of photos and stuff, I don't know what I said, but my Facebook feed has started giving me ads for a new deal you can set outside your house that tracks and tells you and films everything in the sky and tells you what it is.
Really?
There's now a commercial. I've seen it on a lot of TV shows, and it's all handmade and stuff. Now there's a commercial version out there that you can pre-order now.
Very cool.
UFO tracker news? Is it? I don't know. There's a couple other. There were some folks that had some hardware that they were talking about out of Contact, where they're utilizing because they have like full spectrum stuff that where full sky cameras, 360 degrees. They have stuff that coordinates with like flight trackers and stuff like that. Things like that. They also have this other system that utilizes regular FM radio signals and basically like making your own radar, where anything that's flying around that's not on the flight tracker, that's not part of the satellite groups or anything like any of those other trackers, that's something outside of that, where it'll actually use regular FM radio signals that are bouncing off of it, and it's reading the reflections from those radio towers, where you kind of have your own. It's certainly not super accurate. You're not going to be counting the number of windows on the craft or anything like that, but you could certainly detect that there is a physical object that the signals are bouncing off of, and being able to track that.
You just get a general idea of its location and heading and whatnot.
And what it is they want you to buy that, and you connect that. You basically just mount the antenna on the side of your house, and it tracks those kind of things that don't match up. And it's networked with other people in your local area to where they can track it, the movement of it, triangulate it from different angles and stuff like that. It's a pretty interesting piece of tech.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And we've watched shows on the internet, with got the ones that look like a security camera bubble on top of it and stuff like that. And like I said, they're coming out with commercial versions of that now. I'm sure they're not as good as the custom made ones, but I think it's a really neat thing. And they're trying to get, if I remember right, they're trying to get them up on a network so they can get see if they can get multiple hits on the same objects from different locations.
What they're doing.
You need to get one for your van, man.
I specifically asked, is this something that you could use for like a mobile platform, even if you had like hooked up to, satellite internet and stuff like that? And they're like, I don't think it would work that well for a mobile type platform. It kind of has to, because it has to do like a learning thing. It needs to know exactly your like address, so it knows where the local radio towers are, so it knows how to measure the reflection of the beams off of that and that. So it wouldn't really work for me to just like have something I could pick up out of the back of the van and just clunk it down on the ground, or have it mounted on top of the van like some kind of Ecto 1 kind of a thing, driving around with radar dishes and stuff like that on the top of the van.
Well, I mean, we could fix you up with marine radar. That wouldn't be that hard.
That has certainly been done. The Tedesco's out in Long Island have done exactly that, and they've been picking up black triangle activity out over Long Island, out over the ocean with it.
And see, there you go. It works. You can get you a marine radio and a marine radar, and you can just drive around. I mean, it's as big as a boat.
It is. It is kind of big. It's funny sitting out in the the regular old parking lot at Contact in the desert. To be fair, there were a few other vans similar to mine out there, but squishing it into a regular parking spot amongst all the other regular vehicles, it did kind of stand out.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure that it's challenging to park at times.
Yeah, I've gotten very good at reading my rear view mirrors and where the lines are and all of that. It's fun though.
So, well, what do you think about the lunar triangle? Before we go to another,
I think it was something that was actually in the sky. I mean, that's because we can't exactly ask. At least not directly the astronauts, and who knows what they'd be able to say or what they couldn't say. But, you could only take so many, horizon type pictures on their chest mounted Hasselblad, camera that I feel like, especially like the one where there's multiple things all in the sky at the same time, they had to have noticed at least one of those. And that's what they were trying to get a picture of, I feel. Where you would have, because it's like the angle of view of that particular picture is kind of high. It's higher than like you would normally have, because you're not. It's not something you would take pictures up into the sky with, anyways, for that kind of camera and the way it's designed. You would be taking pictures of the lunar module or something on the ground. This was obviously where the level of the shot is well over half of it is the sky. Versus
they would
just
have been leaning
down on the ground.
way back.
Yeah, so they probably had to lean back a little bit to try and get. So they were intentionally, I feel, trying to take a picture of something up, and maybe there was more in the actual photograph than what they thought or what they saw with their own eyes, and something. They were certainly, I feel, trying, at least for those couple of pictures that they released, that I feel that they were intentionally trying to do.
And, several astronauts over the years have said that they saw some strange things that they couldn't really talk about and couldn't really explain.
And in I think it was the second batch of things that they released, they did have a lot of the original radio traffic from some of the early like Mercury missions and stuff like that, where they're reporting seeing all kinds of stuff skittering around outside of their spacecraft. They're like, I can clearly see the booster that I separated from off in the distance. It's like 3 miles away. There's other things out here kind of dancing around like fireflies is what's one description, which I mean, you could certainly make the argument, well, maybe it was sticking off out of Florida in a tuba. It was ice crystals that would have separated once the two pieces done. It probably wouldn't still be hanging around that much to where they would notice it after like a couple of minutes. It should have. That kind of stuff does happen, and it is out there. But I would think after the first few flights of seeing like the same thing, you'd be like, oh, expect to see a bunch of ice crystal debris stuff.
Right.
And all the shuttle stuff was always ice crystals. It's always ice crystals. But
that stuff is always going to fly in a fairly straight line in a spherical pattern. They're not going to be dancing around and doing.
Yeah, they're not going to be changing position.
They're not going to be moving around like a dust mote, which is what they were describing. Sound like if you wave your hand through some dust and it just goes over there. It's not going. There's nothing up there to make it swirl around, so they're going to have to be moving under some sort of power, either self-contained or even if it was, because of solar energy or whatever, making them behave erratically. That's still notable. It still should have been something that they studied. But then they just stopped talking about it.
They're pretty good about. Oh, this is kind of interesting.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's what the
I
government
enjoy
does.
my job here at NASA. It is great.
I will say what they want me to say because I am not a robot. Actually, never mind the body over there.
Yes. Pay no attention to the UFO behind the curtain.
You don't want to be disappeared.
Pay no attention to the hand through my back making me talk.
Yes.
Oh, did you see this Eye of Sauron one?
I have Sauron.
Yes, it's federal agents in the western U.S. who witnessed an orb they described as looking like the Eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings, except without the pupil, or maybe an orange storm electrify bowling ball hovering just off the ground.
Goodness, no, I don't remember seeing that one.
It'd be much cooler if it was actually the Eye of Sauron.
There would be that. None shall pass.
Yeah.
There's been some weird ones.
I know in the first batch of files and under the FBI files, they had like this entire section about how they were keeping a close eye on certain people at UFO conferences because they were speaking badly about the government and possibly trying to, start up an insurrection kind of a thing. It was during Vietnam, and they were basically talking bad about that. And J. Edgar Hoover was like, "Nah, commies, I'm gonna get them." So I found that kind of humorous. That just these little snapshots in time that you would see of things that they would rationalize and irrationalize sometimes out there, where like obviously commies trying to overthrow the government at these UFO meetings.
Frame of reference.
Yeah,
kind of.
I mean, and think about it. That could have been part of we're getting ready to go in a few weeks. We're going to Geneseo, Kansas, to UFO Day, Kansas UFO Day. It's great. Anybody who is able to get to Central Kansas the last weekend of this month, it would behoove you to make it. It's a good time.
A lot of fun.
But
Have my own.
one of the things they're talking about
There you go.
is the museum there has the collection of what was that doctor's name?
Dr. Jansen.
Doc Jansen. He was highly interested in the UFO phenomenon, and so they have an amazing collection of 1950s UFO data and culture there. And sometimes, I wonder if all the negativity from a lot of this stuff is what killed that. Because all of a sudden, all those people were just total nut jobs. And
right. And that was the thing that's always been part of the culture up until, several years ago, where, if you saw something strange in the sky, you were a kook, you were a weirdo, you were subversive. If you thought your government was trying to keep secrets from you, that kind of thing. And that was part of the plan, is because I'm sure there were people, out west near secret test bases that might see a, government project aircraft doing something unusual, not like a normal aircraft. And that would be part of the plan, is to, they're kooks, they're crazy. They were out there getting high on the marijuana cigarettes.
Well, yeah, and I imagine when they were started testing prototypes for like the B-2 and stuff, that it's a weird looking airplane. I'm not going to lie.
Oh yeah,
and it looks I mean, very similar to the triangular UFOs that everybody talks about.
Right.
Except they're really loud. Everybody talks about the black triangles being silent, but
Yeah.
The B2 is not quiet.
Yeah, it is super loud.
Best way to find that is probably with go old school like they did in Great Britain during the Blitz and use acoustic detection. He won't show up on radar, but you can damn sure hear it.
Yep. There's always a sneaky way to do things, but yeah, that was like the common thing to do. 50s, 60s, 70s, even into the 80s.
It discredits the hell out.
Yeah, just make them look like crazy people.
They did the same thing to the pilots. You know, if you talk about it,
you're not going to have a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's interesting to see that and then see it slowly. I know everybody wants it to happen super fast, but like Enzo was saying, actually, we've made a lot of progress.
We have, but that culture is still out there. You know, there's been a few folks that have spoken in Congress not that long ago about you know, very, very obvious sightings on a military base that they're just reporting what they saw. That's their job. They were security forces doing that on their own. And that gentleman, which his name slips my mind, he actually had a very good panel out at Contact where, you know, I'm a GI doing my job. I'm reporting what I'm seeing. And it involved a lot of radio traffic because there's other people in different areas reporting what they're seeing. That's what we do. That was part of our job. The security of the base is monitoring this giant red rectangle thing that's covering over the base. And he started getting grief for it, because he's trying to follow up. It's like, okay, you know, what are my men reporting? You know, what are my, you know, subordinates you know, what did they see? Was this, if it was a top secret project or whatever, just say yes, and that'll be the end of it. But it wasn't. Yeah. It was that they would never admit to anything, and it was they were like stealing and they were deleting files off of computers for his like actual reports from that, you know, because it happened over several nights, and then it like came back like 2 weeks later, and all of it, all like the radio traffic, all the recordings from all the radio traffic disappeared mysteriously and things like that. He had a lot of personal copies that he would basically copy himself and kind of stash away, that kind of stuff, because that's the only way he could kind of prove that they weren't all kooky and crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And then you add in the actual kooks that's out there. And of course, that's what they always point to when they're trying to say, "Oh, you're just like that guy. He's crazy. Right. He needs medication. He's been into the mental hospital."
Sick Richard Doty on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the story. I mean, that's really it. The entire Richard Doty story. If anyone's not familiar with, you could probably, it's probably on Tubi. To be honest, what was the name of that? Mirage Man. That was it. Yeah. That's the thing to watch about your government basically snowing this guy into believing that, because he basically, there was a guy, he was a UFO guy, he was a researcher, and he did see some secret project stuff by accident. It wasn't by, you know, it's just that he was out in the middle of the desert, you know, there in New Mexico, and he ran across some unusual radio traffic, saw some strange lights, which were helicopters, and doing, you know, specific maneuvers that were different because they had like teams of people. They were doing training for like a fast assault thing where the helicopter flies in real fast, dumps a bunch of guys off, takes back off, circles back around, picks it back up, and stuff like that. But the helicopters they were using were kind of new, and they had some different aviation parts on the helicopter that made it much quieter. So you didn't realize it was a helicopter if you didn't know. And so that, you know, he's reporting UFOs to his regular UFO channels, a person on the base, Richard Doty, worked at the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, Air Force OSI, and basically befriended him, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm interested in that too. There's weird stuff going on at the base." Basically pumping information. What did this guy really see? What does he know? And he ended up kind of leading him down this path where
Drove him nuts.
alien invasions, and you're the only one that knows. You need to be careful. Yeah. And it literally drove him to self-delete.
Yeah.
To use the YouTube word, hi YouTube. And it's horrific that because when you're dealing with the unknown, all of this stuff is the unknown. And you run into someone that is seemingly in charge or in the know, or maybe knows a little bit more than you, and they start leading you down this cuckoo crazy path where reality itself isn't making sense, and you start suspecting everybody around there is a secret Russian agent over here, or maybe they're out to get me over here because I know too much. It'll drive you crazy. Literally.
Like, if I remember correctly, what
literal gaslighting.
Yeah, they were breaking into his house and putting stuff on his computer and removing stuff from his computer, making this poor dude
just messing with
nuts. And then, so anytime I see Richard Doty involved in anything, I immediately am like discredited. I don't even consider it at that point.
It turns out he's kind of responsible for a lot of some of the classical, like the whole Serpo story of us having an exchange program with aliens and sending a group of people to another planet to live for like a couple of years and all that stuff. That's all from him. It's all made up. Yeah. He was quite the fiction writer.
It's like he took he just took a story that was told in the 50s and ran with it, you know.
Took a creative writing class somewhere and went bananas.
It's like he read, Buck Turner's information, then was like, let me embellish.
It's fairly likely.
Yeah.
It
would have been available to him. Honestly.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of that stuff, I mean, you can't get anymore. I mean, it's if you do, it's in somebody's personal collection and they're going to charge you a ton.
Yep.
Although some of that is becoming available from digital to print, like PDF copies that you can order from Amazon and print it. That's kind of like my copy of Annals of Kentucky. It's just PDF of one of the original books that they've bound up on.
Yeah.
So and gone from digital to print.
Something we haven't touched on yet that I think is pretty interesting when it comes to disclosure is the whole religion aspect and the reason. There's a word for it, ontological shock.
Yes.
They don't want to put the majority, of the human race, into this moral conundrum, where it might actually make people believe that there should, how do I say it?
The God you believe in isn't what is actually reality, according to whoever the visitors are, that kind of thing.
There we go.
Yeah, there's it's kind of interesting. Just today, it was either today or yesterday. There was a group in the UK, actually I have it right here, unhidden.org. A group of medical doctors and clinical psychologists have released. Basically, they did an expansive study on this very thing about disclosure, and they have recommendations to the impact of exceptional experiences and disclosure of the mental health and well-being of people. Basically, what they're recommending is to governments out there that they need to start incorporating, because all government federal emergency type agencies like FEMA and the Center of Disease Control, all of these things, they all like war game different scenarios all the time to practice it. If a giant hurricane hits Florida, FEMA needs to know, okay, we're going to deploy, forward deploy groups to here and send in trailers and supplies to this airport and usually at least once a year they practice like in real time, that kind of stuff, where they'll actually have planes, not necessarily, moving actual cargo, but they'll practice moving that. I was involved with one right before I got out, where the scenario was that there was a giant earthquake in the center of the United States along the Madrid fault line. And we were here in Wichita, were going to be one of the forward locations to receive wounded, severe cases where they would fly them in via helicopter or aircraft and things like that. So we had to work with local hospitals on how to do that. But anyways, these are scenarios that all these government agencies play all the time. But this group is saying they need to start including scenarios for actual disclosure, because it will be a mental health emergency for a lot of people. Like, and they have in this like some numbers. This was out of the UK, so they use like UK numbers for all that. But they have whole charts and all of that about basically like they're estimating 30 to 40% of just the population are going to go through that ontological shock of whatever degree, and they go through different degrees of whatever the disclosure is, of starting with the Webb telescope discovering the possibility of microscopic life on another planet in another star system. Something small like that, the impact isn't as big. Going to there's a crash in 1947 in Roswell. There were bodies. We've been talking to them for years. We've got different programs where we've had an exchange program. All this stuff. That's way bigger, and there are going to be people that are not going to be okay with it. And they list out like different groups. Religion is really close to the top.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot of those people just going, it's the demons. They're no such thing as UFOs. It's the demons.
And they even include near lower to the bottom of that list of people affected, actual UAP experiencers. So they've gone that far to where now you've got people that have been shunned for their story, for the experience that their real life thing that may have occurred to them. Now they found out it's absolutely real. Yeah. And they, some people may act very, very differently. There's certainly going to be, if I was in that boat, I'd be like, I knew it. I told you.
Well, and, like Mark said, they're going to come back and say it's demons and stuff. JD Vance has already said.
I was very disappointed at that.
Yeah. I mean, that right there is going to, yeah, that's pretty wild.
And even on that same demon thing, there was just a press release the other day where there was a exorcist that had made very public that all aliens are demons. He no longer works for the Catholic Church. He was fired, where they let him go because that is not the church's current stance on extraterrestrial life. So I found that kind of interesting. This is the actual release. Archdiocese of Washington announced today Cardinal McElroy was removed. Priest in Syracuse, New York, as an exorcist for the Archdiocese of Washington, ended all affiliation, blah, blah, blah. He's out, gone. Boy, it was only a few days from where he made these very public statements on his, I don't recall if it was on Twitter or on Facebook or where exactly it was, where he made these comments of, all aliens are demons, kind of that thing. And they were like, no, you are done. You no longer are affiliated with us, sir. Thank you. Goodbye.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Pretty interesting stuff, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I had not heard that.
Yeah, this was just June 3rd. This was only a few days, several days ago.
Have you all heard of the author Paul Wallace?
Mm-hmm. I think I have one of his books.
Not ringing a bell.
Seems familiar.
He is one of the higher ups in the church, and for years now has been talking about, he's all about the disclosure. He's been quite certain for years and years that we don't have one God, that everything in the Bible was kind of misinterpreted when they rearranged it as it was coming up into new languages, and that the aliens were our gods, that there was multiple. And if you get his, he's got a series of books out. They're fantastic. Exit from Eden. I'm trying to think. I've got a whole bunch of them.
Book, yeah.
Okay.
It is so fascinating. And he's not saying like the entire Bible is wrong. He's saying when they interpreted it over, they messed up a couple of key words, and he even proves it if you go back and look at the original writings and stuff and how they translated, where they kind of tweaked it wrong at. And when you reread it with the correct terms in the slots, it absolutely all makes sense. If you're interested in that, go check out Paul Wallace, because I think it's exciting books. But he's been talking about this for years now, and he's finally, disclosures come, and it's going to prove everything I've been writing about correctly.
Oh, Chris
And
just
I'm not
said
gonna.
that the chat is not working. I wondered why we didn't have anybody in there.
Huh.
She said that like a half an hour ago, and I just saw the text. Sorry.
Oh no.
I did not even switch over to the chat.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
go
was
grab
something
one of
on
those
my,
books.
actually, that's what I was looking at when my whole thing dumped earlier, right at the beginning of the show. I was trying to pull up the chat.
Oh.
There's a setting in YouTube, Mark, that if it's set for kids or whatever, you may have to fix that, and it'll turn the chat on.
In YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, let me see what I can do here.
Yeah. Jess was talking about Paul Wallace's book. Yeah.
No,
When
it
she said
isn't.
the name, I was like,
It was checked.
it was checked.
It was checked. So it's now unchecked.
Okay, that's probably what it was then.
It
That's
might
happened.
be out for the rest of the show. You might have to you would have to restart the stream, I imagine, to reboot that, I would think. You may have no chat for the show. But there's always the comments. You can go into the comments and leave
Yeah.
the timestamp so I know what you're referring to.
Sorry about that, folks. And I didn't
Oh.
do anything to change
Or you
it.
just the chat does
There
work.
you go. It's back. Oh,
There.
Yeah.
right.
Yes,
There we
that's
go.
I have that one. Yeah.
The Scars of Eden. There's he's got like 5 or 6 of them now. I just grabbed a couple.
I only
Wow.
have the first one.
Fantastic reading though. He's incredibly smart too, and he really knows how to talk in kind of layman's terms, so you can kind of understand where he's coming from, because he goes way back. He breaks the Bible back down again to its origins, and how many times it was reinterpreted and who reinterpreted it and where they got it wrong. And when he throws it back together again, for once the Bible kind of makes sense, but in a far scarier way. So if you're interested in it, check out Paul Wallace.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to say though that both groups can't be, on the right track. But I don't think they're demons.
No.
I don't.
No. I mean, I would certainly say if you were to look at some of the horrific abduction stories that we've certainly heard of over the years, I could see where that would certainly come across as
Demonic?
something
Yeah.
evil or demonic,
Yeah.
and be placed in that box. Just like
That
other
human
contact.
that made me think that possibly the demonic was real.
Right. And on the opposite side of it, there are certainly people with stories, contact stories of love and light, and everything's great, and you're one with the universe and all that. That could certainly come across as angelic, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, it can go either way.
We know, what is this guy's name? Anyway, new claims that the United States has recovered the remains of 4 separate species of alien life are sending shockwaves throughout the UFO disclosure movement. Dr. Hal Puthoff, a CIA-funded researcher and former Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Applications Program advisor, so this guy's smart and connected, announced the new revelation while appearing at a UFO roundtable on Steve Bartlett's Diary of a CEO podcast alongside Age of Disclosure director Dan Farrar last week. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going out there. And it wouldn't surprise me. See, I'm not going to say that it's real or it's not, but it absolutely would not surprise me in the slightest. Not in the slightest. Now, if there are aliens out there, real aliens, listening to this podcast, just know that if you would like to contact me, I will buy you a beer or whatever earthly beverage you like, and we will sit down and we will have a nice chat. I promise not to disclose.
You're invited to come on the podcast.
You are invited to come on the podcast if you so choose, and we'll just have a good time with it.
We have Mike and Ike's.
There you go. Well, we can provide snacks. No, but seriously, if there were creatures like that out there that are not hostile to us, and even if they are willing to sit down and have a chat, I would be willing to sit down and have that chat. And a lot of people would, which actually there are enough people out there who have put it out there that, you know, they would be glad to have that chat. You would think possibly maybe someone had taken them up on it.
Well,
maybe. I mean,
and they may have.
And they may have. But anyway, thought I'd throw that out there.
I'll put off big in the remote viewing.
I'm not super serious about it, but I would still absolutely have that chat.
For sure, yeah.
Because I want to know. I don't care if
you are wearing a shirt with pictures of them on it. How could they refuse?
I know, right? Take me now. Just wait till I debut my new shirt at UFO Day. It's fantastic. You're gonna love it.
Well, now we're all excited. We can't wait to see it.
UFO Day wardrobe reveal.
It's like the shirt battle royale every year now.
I mean,
who's gonna wear the best shirt?
I finally found some place that would make shirts big enough for me, so now I'm buying them. I used to wear Hawaiian shirts all the time. Hawaiian shirts, shorts, and hat like that. And then I got too fat to fit any shirts that I could find.
Ew.
Sad face. So, but I've been losing weight, and I found some places that carry the larger sizes. So
that's awesome.
My good buddy Enzo has inspired me to take the hobby back up.
Yeah, this was the shirt that I wore Saturday at Contact in the Desert, which got a fair amount of compliments. The one that I normally wear at speaking engagements, the retro bowling one.
Yeah, the mid-mod one. I like it.
I stopped counting at about 70 compliments because it was just constant. And it got to the point where I actually had like the Amazon page where you could order it. That I would have to show people, and they're like taking pictures of my phone with their phone.
That's awesome.
So next year at Contact in the Desert, there may not, because people were very upset to find out that they didn't sell them there. They were like, "Oh, I gotta get on Amazon."
I think
you're gonna have to up your game next year.
I think you're missing out. I think you should buy, pick 2 or 3 different styles and get a bunch of shirts and take. I bet you'll sell out.
Probably be hawking your wares. Get you a trench coat. You can
pay your gas.
New shirt.
Hangers on it.
Oh, Enzo, fashion icon.
Oh no, he cannot have a trench coat. He drives a white van.
Oh,
yeah, that would be too much.
He would instantly become a suspect in something.
That's funny. Oh my goodness.
Puppies.
Candy inside.
That's hilarious. Hey, to pull us back on track here. We're talking about
We're so off track.
maybe
Oh.
maybe what would this do to religion and things like that. But I mean, if you look at indigenous peoples, they have always talked about the star beings,
Oh, yeah.
and things like that, and incorporated it into their religion and their practice and everything. So
Let's look at the cargo cults in the South Pacific. That is a real phenomenon. You can go back in the history and look. There were these cargo cults that worshipped the airplanes. They thought the airplanes were bringing their gods to the island, and they'd find cargo on these airplanes that crashed, and it's a gift from the gods or what have you.
Or even be friendly to the guys that were there that like built the runway or whatever. And to the point where they would take some of the leftover boxes that they would leave behind, and they would like try and arrange them in such a way thinking it was some kind of magic to where when they opened it up, there'd be cold beer inside.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is not that far-fetched to believe that if we were visited in the ancient past, that we might have mistakenly deified these visitors. Now, I'm not going to poo-poo all the religions, because I myself am a Christian, but I could definitely see where that would be a possibility. I mean, like, it's happened within the last 100 years. So
if you look at humankind as opposed to, so if we think about what aliens are and the fact that they are evolved enough to where they can travel to these different places, outside of our galaxy and things like that they come from there, they're going to be in a different place than we are. We're mean to each other. We're mean to everybody. Seriously, humans are not, we're kind of mean.
We're not great.
No, we're not great. And would you blame them for not wanting to come down? And if they had come down in the past, who's to say that they weren't strung up and, done something to?
Right. I would lock my doors coming through this solar system.
Absolutely.
But they might not be friendly.
You've also got the fact of, when we've gotten really close to nuking each other, and then their spacecraft comes, whatever craft comes, and turns off the capabilities to hit that button. And that's documented. That's not, so I don't know.
One of the things I read today from that Unhidden website with all the doctors and psychiatrists and stuff from UK is they're very concerned about, because they go through, honestly, they really break it down if you bother to read the PDFs on the website, because they go through what's called catastrophic disclosure, which is nobody's controlling it. Because I feel like right now the government we're getting the slow drip. We're getting everybody kind of used to the idea, okay, there's weird stuff in our skies, things that, here's a bunch of pictures of stuff, we're not exactly sure what it is, we don't know. Eventually it's going to work its way up to, okay, and this is the problem from the government perspective about capital D disclosure, is assuming that we'll just say like everything we've ever heard about Roswell actually happened. We'll just set that up as the scenario. So the government's been lying their asses off about this whole thing since 1947. They've threatened people. They've made people disappear. They have made people look foolish to the point where no one will hire them. All of these things, discredited people along the entire length of time that's occurred. Oh yeah, destroy their entire livelihoods and everything, and to the point where they can't handle anymore and they have to self-delete. Horrific stuff that they have to answer for. I feel like that's part of the reason why it's kind of gone on so long, because now they have to answer all of those questions. If they come out and say, okay, just so you know, 1947, yeah, a craft from another world or dimension or wherever you want to, whatever the actual story is, crashed out the desert through whatever the mishap was that did that. We found some bodies, maybe a couple of them were alive for a period of time, all of that. Yeah, we've been trying to figure it all out, but it's kind of complicated and hard for us to figure out. We haven't really made a whole lot of progress for some of the more advanced stuff. We've, come up with some things, fiber optics and, Velcro and Post-it notes and other things that are very high tech like that. That's a joke, of course. But they can certainly go along the line. But that first thing, is, you can imagine the president standing up there giving the whole spiel about, hey, this really happened. This is what we got. We haven't been able to figure out a whole lot. We haven't been in contact with anybody since. We'll even go that far as the scenario goes. They're still going to have to, the first thing that's going to happen is reporters in the front row are going to jump up and say, why? What else have you not told us about for the last 60 some years, 75 years?
Well, quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
We've had, Phil and I, and you guys have been part of them. We've had a lot of discussions about actual conspiracies that the U.S. government has admitted to, and they're not real nice.
No,
So
we're not the good guys.
They
a lot of the time.
do
No
describe
government
that
is.
in
No government
those in that unhidden .org thing, where there's going to be a immediate collapse of trust of the government, even if they are totally 100% truthful and explain exactly step by step what it is, because they've been lying about it this entire time.
Well, and yet there's already a total lack of trust of the government in this country. It doesn't
Right.
matter what
You know.
side, quote unquote, that you're on.
Sure. We've never been more polarized as a nation, for sure, politics wise. And after the events of 2020-ish and things that occurred during those years of being locked in your home and not being able to do what you want to do, there's a giant amount of distrust, well earned, of our government. And I feel like that's part of the reason why it's gone on this long, because what president wants to deal with that kind of backlash? Something that, they had nothing to do with. There's the secret that's super, super secret that they can't tell anybody, because then they have to explain why now all of a sudden why are you telling us now? Why didn't you tell us this when you were first elected? Or why didn't you do all of these questions that they're going to have to get badgered over for finally telling the truth? If you get if you have any employee that works for you that lies, and then finally tells the truth, you're going to still be mad at them. Yeah, they finally did tell the truth on one thing, but they lied all these other times. You're going to be pretty upset about it. And
that's absolutely true.
You know what else it makes me wonder too? Look at all the Mandelas that happen. It's like, are they just testing us to see what we'll actually buy, what they can actually change in our face, and for us to go along with? I posted in our Nerd Herd group. What was it, last week? I happened to be watching an old Mary Tyler Moore episode from like February of 1972.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it's Ted, which is the online. He's the guy he's the anchor. Thank you. And he's talking to Murray and to Lou, and I think Mary's there too, but they're talking back and forth, and he's like, what are you talking about? Are you saying that there's somebody that's more handsome than I? And Murray's like, oh, no, there's nobody more handsome than you, Ted. Oh, okay. And then he walks off, and Murray goes, I feel like mirror, mirror. Right there, and we've been told here lately that it's always been magic mirror, not mirror, mirror. But, here's this one little blurb in a TV show from 1972 that's saying mirror, mirror back then.
So you've brought up a very good point. It is theoretically, and actually probably not even theoretically possible, that a lot of these so-called Mandela things have come out as a research thing that somebody's doing to see how much they can manipulate the public mind. That would not surprise me at all. Whether that's actually what's happening or if it is, all kinds of dimensional shifts, it could go either way. But and it could be both.
Could you imagine the person that decided to come up with that? And they're all like, "Oh crap!"
Right, because that's
look how they're reacting. Good grief!
Yeah, it could all be some big psychological thing that somebody is an experiment, an experiment on the public.
Right.
A mind F.
And
Or it
would
could
not
be somebody touched the wrong button on a piece of Roswell wreckage and it affected the timeline where we all kind of slipped sideways a second.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel like it could go either way. Because I mean, look at the past. It's not like the government hasn't experimented on us before. Look at the Tuskegee experiments. Look at the time that the Navy accidentally shelled San Francisco so they could track the spread of a harmless bacteria through the public to see how germs spread.
Yeah,
it only killed one person, so it was all right.
Oh God.
So I mean, these are the things that the
Acceptable
government
losses.
has
That's
told.
fine.
So I mean, why would anybody trust them?
They don't have the greatest
And,
track record for sure.
They really don't. So really, they don't have a lot of options except for like the slow leak thing of, okay, the very, very slow emissions. Like, well, there kind of are things we're not sure what they are. That kind of stuff. That's kind of like the stage we're at now, where eventually I feel over a period of time where they'll release a few other things. It's baby steps to, yeah, they're real. They've been here the whole time, or whatever.
It'll probably take decades before they actually get anywhere close to them.
And while like that unhidden group, they don't make those kind of suggestions, but they set up scenarios for this would be like the safest alternative, the drip type of thing to kind of basically ease people into it, because their focus was mainly mental health of everybody involved, to the point where whenever they do decide to release stuff, that they need to start opening up clinics in every town for people to come by for come
like
talk to
boiling
us
a
about
frog.
it so you don't go crazy and start.
You're not wrong,
wiping people out.
because as a race or as a group, we are not known for handling uncertainty well. Anyway,
and that's why they fear a catastrophic disclosure. What that would be is somebody that's been working in a lab somewhere in deepest, darkest, New Mexico or wherever, that knows all of this stuff, just comes out and just spills the beans. And like, here's the website where it has all the schematics for the stuff we did. Here's the pictures of the aliens. Here's me, sharing a beer, or whatever with this guy. All the stuff where it's incontrovertible proof, or a massive mass sighting that is beyond the government's control, where they can't poo-poo it, where a 50-mile wide ship comes by the moon one night and just starts doing a little laser mining on the surface of the moon where everybody in the entire planet can see, and then it just zips off. No communication, doesn't talk to anybody, doesn't even acknowledge that there's intelligence anywhere on the planet. It's just checking out doing a little lunar prospecting that everyone on the planet can see and can't deny, where because their big thing is information spreads like wildfire because of these.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they cannot.
It's not like the old days where they could kind of hide stuff or put out a story. Oh, well, there was some kind of mind controlled Joker gas leak at the plant down the river, and it just affected everyone's mind, and they saw hallucinations or whatever. They can't get away with that anymore because everyone on the planet has one of these and can
And
go
ring
live.
cameras and security cameras. I
Now
mean,
what's out there? It's like, everybody, you're being spied on. Everything, the government is spying on you through your phones, through this, through that. Maybe everybody should go back to flip phones. Maybe everybody should get rid of these phones. And if that's the case, it would slow
Sure.
things down quite a bit.
But like in the scenario where we see somebody doing some test mining on the moon from
everybody's going to see it.
you know,
Think about it.
they can't say swamp gas anymore. They can't say it's an illusion. It was a atmospheric anomaly that made it look like that over the entire planet at the same time. No.
Look at the stuff like that great big huge black ship that's off the coast of California, I believe, was underwater, that is plainly on radar, on satellite.
Catalina, out there by that. Yeah, there's a lot of weirdness going on outside of Catalina.
It's just like it gets blown off. It's like you see something, and it's like with, say you see a ghost, immediately in the moment you're like, holy crap, I just saw a ghost. This is this and blah blah blah, and then maybe a year or 2 years down the road, you're like, maybe I really didn't. Maybe it was just, maybe I was tired.
Sure. Because like I feel like a mass sighting like the Phoenix Lights probably would be the most recent bigger thing. If that were to happen today with everybody that has a cell phone and all like that, you would like almost be able to track that craft in real time because it went all over Arizona.
Yeah.
It actually started off like up in Nevada and skirted around, actually kind of around the part of Arizona where I almost hit an elk while driving out to California. That was a monster. Yeah, that could have been
catastrophic.
Yeah, but stuff like if that happened today, it would be a very different story where you wouldn't have the mayor of Phoenix bringing out the guy with the rubber mask on and handcuffs and making fun of people and stuff like that, which made thousands of people that saw this thing in the sky over the city of Phoenix just feel stupid and betrayed.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
that was mean. But at the same time, I wonder what were his options. I mean, that obviously that came out to what they determined to be the best option to do of how to play it.
That's the playbook. Deny, deny, deny.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you've got thousands of people that are doing this when the object is coming over from many different angles, from many different cities, because there's people all over the place that have one of these that they can certainly document things from live. That would be much harder to dispute.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true.
That's what
that's a lot of the stuff we've been seeing is because there's so many cameras out there now.
Yeah. Well, look at the thing that happened at the Miami Mall with the aliens at the mall. Everybody, there was a lot of different shots of that, and there's actually just recently, within the last week, came out some new footage of that from a different angle, from someone else that had not given up their footage at the time. And it's like, that it got poo-pooed so bad. Oh, that's completely fake. It looks totally fake. There's a lot of people that had footage of that though. So I don't know. What is
the police response was enormous. How many patrol cars were outside of that mall? There had to have been 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't show up for just nothing.
No. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, we're at a place right now to where they can't easily poo-poo away a lot of that stuff.
They're still going to try.
Just a matter of just getting people to go outside and look up. Honestly,
yeah.
If more people did that and documented it, if maybe at some point in the future, someone will do a class on how to properly document things in the sky.
I wonder who I know who can help you with that.
Tried it once, didn't work out so well, but we'll try a second time this year.
Well, we'll just announce it right now. Our good friend Enzo will be teaching just such a class at our 2026 Bordertown Paracon. So if you're interested, it's free to the public. It's free. come
August
walk
8th
Yes.
August 8th.
And if you're
in
not
Caney,
in the
Kansas.
area, if you're not in the area and you cannot make it to this part of the country, it will be live streamed and it will be available on YouTube later. But we would really love for you to come. Say hi.
Well,
Hang
the
out.
fun part is talking to everybody.
It is. It's
Oh,
a good.
that's
So
the best part.
It is.
one of the rules, one of our major rules for the Paracon is everybody who agrees to come and be a speaker has to make themselves available for people to talk to. They can't just hide out in the green room and only come out when it's time for them to talk or be on a panel. We ask them to mingle and actually talk to folks, and people really respond.
They do.
And they do a similar thing at Contact in the Desert. I guess I can reveal it now. One of the people I was chatting with while there is another YouTuber, Jason Guillemette and Katie Page over at UAP Studies Podcast.
Nice.
And was chatting with them. I've known Katie Page for a while. You may have seen her on Beyond Skinwalker Ranch and a few other shows. Very intelligent speaker. She used to be the Colorado MUFON state investigator there. But while chatting with them, they did a live podcast there from the show. And I was like, oh, I'll sit in on the audience. And the person that they were supposed to be interviewing ghosted. It was like minutes before they were supposed to go live, and they had no guest. And Katie like looks behind her at the crowd. It's like, let's interview Enzo. So for an hour and a half, we chatted about all kinds of things on their show. It'll air sometime probably next week. And I did plug our Paracon there on the show. So we'll get to see a little bit of that. Told them all about Geneseo, all of our stuff, because they asked about, like, what's in Kansas for UFOs? And I started laying all the stuff out. It was great. Cool. And so it was great. And now I can officially say I was interviewed at Contact in the Desert.
Oh, that's true.
Ooh.
Not
because
only
I was sitting in the audience.
Sure,
And
you
they
are
knew me,
fancy
so.
pants.
Yeah. Ooh, feather in your hat.
There you go.
But
awesome, man, awesome.
Congratulations.
They're great. Jason and his wife, beautiful people. Jason's from Montreal area, I think. Oh, so he's from Canada. Him and his wonderful wife. His wife's an author. She writes science fiction. She actually was asking me questions about the work, something she's working on now. She's like, "Would this happen like this? Because you're kind of a sciencey guy." It's like, hey, we ended up talking for hours just about her book. It was kind of fun. But
hey, that's one of my favorite things to talk about. So I mean,
right, and it's one of those things where if all of the people are available and you just strike up a conversation. It was a lot of fun. That's actually my favorite part about going to Contact is just sitting around chatting with people. I did discover that if I added a new buzzword for what I do nowadays, it's not a lie. It's just I'd never used it before because people would always ask, so what do you do? It's like, well, I'm retired. I was in the Air Force for 24 years. I got out. Now I'm a part-time paranormal investigator. Oh, really?
Awesome.
Have you been somewhere cool? It's like, well, I spent the night in a World War II submarine a few weeks ago. What? Yeah, in Oklahoma. Which it just leads to the whole story of talking about all of that.
That's fantastic.
That is awesome, man. That's awesome.
Want to hear something really cool? So when we were talking about that, Enzo, you may have been in on that conversation. Actually, I may just be repeating myself here. Adrian, him and his team had been there a few times, and they had some really cool footage that they had gotten like years ago. So yeah,
about the only thing I got was a great deal of pain and discomfort.
Me too. I got a kidney stone out of it.
Oh man.
Because I got severely dehydrated from running inside and outside. It was pretty steamy down below decks there.
It was
still a lot of fun.
The thing that gave me problems was just moving around on it. I'm overweight. I have bad knees, It is not a place made for old fat guys to get around in. And by the time I got through it once, I was done for the night.
I'm glad, honestly, that we didn't try to go before I broke my leg, because I may have tried to go, and that was not the place for a one-legged person either.
No, it is dangerous.
No, you would have been fine because you would not have made it up the ramp to get onto the boat.
The ramp was angled about like that, and the whole boat was tilted a little bit.
Oh, nope.
No,
I stayed home and did some research, I think.
Yeah, just so you all know, we're talking about the ramp, and you're like, well, how hard is a ramp? The problem with the batfish is they're actually getting ready to move it right now, because where they had it sitting, they had created like this little
lagoon,
a huge dugout area beside the river with a dam that would allow water to come in and kind of fill up that area, and it kind of had a little rest, a place that it sat in with the ramp that came down off of it so you could get on and off of it. Well, it flooded a couple of years back, and they didn't have the dam shut off. So the whole thing filled, and it lifted the batfish up and moved it to the edge of the little dip that they'd had it in. But the ramp stayed attached where it was supposed to. So instead of being straight on, it's cockeyed to the side, and the ramp is not level anymore.
Oh, my goodness. It's not.
Yeah, you can see in the picture that he's showing there, the left side is its cradle, and it's not in its cradle anymore, and now it's setting up off to the side, and the whole boat is listed to one side a little bit there.
It's kind of like being on the old Batman show. Everything's kind of canted off to one side.
Yeah. Just a little cockeyed.
But it is difficult to navigate if you are not. It is difficult to navigate if you're not a young skinny person.
It's difficult to navigate. Period.
With the tilt on it, it was unpleasant for me. But I loved going. It was totally worth the trip just to go through it. But there was no way I could have stayed and moved in and out and around through it. But I mean, World War II submarine.
Yeah, no, I would have not even attempted. You're right. I would have looked at it, went nice, and turned around and got in the car.
They barely got Christy up it.
Imagine.
She made it a lot further than I imagined she would, to be honest.
Yeah. Christy's blind. Our friend Christy, she's legally blind, and I can't imagine her making her way through all that.
Yeah, she was a little upset with me too, because I personally couldn't take. I'm a little claustrophobic. I've been on subs before. I knew what to expect, but this one was just hot enough on the inside, and there was enough people crowded into the boat that I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the heat and too many people. So after, I think we were like in the second section, I told Mike Coy, one of our team members that was with us, I was like, I can't, I'm out. I'm going to go up where it's cool and wait for everybody to kind of figure out what they're doing. And Christy told me later on, when I finally found her again, she goes, "Where did you go? I felt you leave," because she's a medium. She was like, "I know you left it like when we were in that second session," and all I could think of was like, "Don't leave me, Jess," because she wanted the heck out of there too.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was like, "I'm sorry, Christy, I didn't know. The next time we're in a similar situation, if I feel uncomfortable, I will check in with you."
Yeah,
and see if you want me to rescue you.
Once they get it to the new site and the new museum up and running, I highly recommend going through and checking it out, especially if you've got young adults or somebody that you want to show some history to. It is an amazing piece of history, and really, it is an amazing piece of technology for something that's 80 years old.
Those pictures that you were showing, Enzo, especially with the typewriters, and that's just so cool. And the picture of the was that the crew at one time?
Yes.
That is real. That's a lot of people in that little bitty submarine.
I think they said 80 people was the normal complement.
And sometimes higher.
Where did they all fit?
They had
Like
bunks
sardines,
everywhere.
literally like sardines.
Like there were bunks stacked up in the like torpedo room where you would like work and load the torpedoes. There was little bunks just shoved wherever they could stick them in between torpedoes, and it was crazy.
Oh,
yeah, let's sleep on a couple hundred pounds of.
Yeah, there was like there's bunks up here. This is this is just the opposite angle of this. This is the forward torpedo room, which you can see, the torpedoes there where they would load them into the tubes and so forth. And I literally just turned 180 degrees. So we've got bunks here.
So did they, if like the normal complement's like 80 or close to 80, does that mean they had like 40 bunks and you had to switch out?
They hot bunk, yeah, absolutely.
This is one of the main berthing areas where if someone's asleep in there, it's time for their shift. They'd get up, and as soon as they get up, whoever's going off shift will go right back into that same bunk.
Dang.
What they call hot bunking.
Yeah. And gross. They got like 1 cup of water a day.
So
and that was to do everything with. They could drink it, they could use it to brush their teeth, they could use it to wash their clothes or take a shower. The 1 cup of water.
Good Lord.
But they could have all the coffee they wanted, so
yes.
Yeah. So they said most of them just never showered. Could you imagine what that smelled like? 80 guys after how many days under the on the sub?
Weird in there. Or did it smell weird? It may have.
it did smell a little weird, but mostly because
there's
water got into it when it exploded.
Kind of a black mold diesel kind of cocktail, plus the worst gym locker room you've ever been in when there's all the people in there. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So
that's a little scary that you're saying that water got into this submarine. That's a little scary.
Because they didn't have it prepped,
but
and they had stuff open, and the seals on the torpedo tubes hadn't been replaced in 80 years. I mean,
it's gonna leak. Yeah.
It wasn't like there was like floods and floods of water. It's just little dibs and dabs, because the reason why it's all cockeyed and all that stuff is because they had torrential rainstorms there a couple of years ago that it flooded there. So it was floating. It was up off of its mounts and all that stuff because it was just sitting on the ground in like these big cradle kind of things holding it that are the shape of the thing. But it floated above that, so they couldn't exactly get it to sit back in there exactly right. And that's kind of when they came up with the idea, we're going to move this thing anyway.
And FEMA won't let them do anything to it right now until they complete their investigation and paperwork.
Oh. You know what is hilarious? When you first mentioned the fact that we had the opportunity, or Christy did, we had the opportunity to go on the Batfish. Yeah, look at that crew. Wow. I was excited because for some reason I was thinking of the blue whale in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, in Catoosa.
Going to the blue whale. But no, it was not the blue whale.
Which they just reopened too. It looks fantastic. They put all new neon on it and stuff. It's really neat.
Cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat place. That's amazing. I just can't believe they fit that many people in that little spot.
Yep. They're jammed in there pretty tight.
Dang.
Yep, it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
all right.
Very, very, very educational.
Yeah.
Highly encourage people to go down there. They're thinking they'll have it reopen around Thanksgiving-ish time frame was what they were guessing at, because they've got basically they built like a little dike area there for when they originally moved it in there back in like 1972 or 3, whatever year it was.
Something like that.
And they have to break that in and float it back out into the river and then float it back around to where the new spot is, reposition it, pull it all down and, fill it back in, all that stuff. So that never happens again. The flooding isn't an issue because it sits up way higher now. Once they get it in its final position, but it's going to take a few months for them to get that all, the logistics and all that stuff to move it around. And so they're guessing the grand reopening with the new museum and everything around Thanksgiving time frame.
I definitely want to go back when they get it repositioned.
I would love to go back. It's great.
I'm going to time it right after I get a shot in my knee so that
I just popped up a picture of the blue whale. That's what I was thinking. That's why I was excited.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I don't know if he's haunted or not. We might have to check it out.
I don't know. I find him more frightening than the submarine.
Yeah. We'll have a whale of a time.
It looks like I can walk right in though and not have
Well, if we go back to the Batfish, I suggest we go back at a cooler time
Oh yeah.
with less
Yeah.
people. There was way too many people there.
Yeah, we had a big
it was
crowd in
getting
there.
hot in there fast.
Mhm.
So anyway, that was
That's cool.
totally off topic, but totally cool.
Way off topic, but very cool. Highly recommend.
Way off topic, but very cool. So, I mean, we didn't go into a super lot of details about all the new disclosure stuff, but mostly because it was a lot of the same we've been getting.
Right. If you're familiar with this topic and you followed it, if you're an old Art Bell person like me, nothing really super new. However, at Contact in the Desert this year, this was the biggest group they've ever had. The hotel that they hold it in has been booked up since February for Contact in the Desert.
Wow.
So thousands of people, a lot of them very young. My joke was, a group of young people. It's like, did you know there was a UFO crash in New Mexico in 1947? Yeah, I think I heard of that one. Obviously that didn't actually happen, but it's similar. There's a lot of people that this is a brand new topic and never heard any of the old stories or any of the lore or any of that stuff. They just seen a lot of the stuff, the stuff that's going on in Washington, D.C., the congressional hearings and things like that. So it's all.
So it is
new to them.
really bringing it, and that may be part of why they're doing it, because if there really is something to it, a lot of these people who have never heard of it because they've shoveled it under the carpet for so many years,
Right.
they've not got no clue.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
that and you may be onto something, but yeah, it really wasn't a whole lot of new stuff. The big one I really clamped onto was them actually admitting that there was something solid in that Apollo photo. That was one of the big takes I got, because they have been denying the hell out of all that stuff for, well, decades.
Yeah. Way before our lifetime.
Yeah. I remember a lot of the Apollo stuff. I mean, I was born in 67. I was old enough to remember some moonshots.
I remember nothing.
I have a very, very vague recollection of Apollo 13 disaster, because my mother took me to the hospital to pick up her paycheck. She was a registered nurse, and all the nurses and the patients were staring at the TV and crying and upset, and I did not understand why all the grown-ups were so upset.
Yeah.
But I was excited because they were on the moon or going to the moon, but all the grown-ups were upset, and I just didn't understand. And that's that's my earliest memory of, the space program, was all the adults being upset. So, and then I went through all the Skylab stuff and all this stuff. I've been following it ever since. So, that being said, I want to touch on a few things before we finish for the night. So, in a few weeks' time, we are going to be in Geneseo, Kansas, the last weekend of June for Kansas UFO Day. There are 5 speakers. We are one group that will be speaking. There will be all sorts of fun things to do, vendors. The museum is really, I think the museum is really special. It is really possibly one of the most unique looks back in to 1950s pop UFO culture. And quite frankly, Doc Jensen was into a lot of different things. So it's a real interesting look back into 1950s culture period. So
Yes.
if you get a chance, come to Geneseo, Kansas, the week before the 4th of July, because they didn't want to interfere with everybody's 4th of July celebrations for the 250th anniversary. Happy birthday, the United States of America. So if you've got
Even if you're not that into UFOs, it is because it's Doc Jansen's old house is what it is that they turned into the town museum. So it's for the whole town. And back when it originally was founded back in 1890s, I think. It was a water stop for the railroads back in those days. And they have some very unique old school. Basically, it's the birth of small town Kansas. It's just
really is.
history. They have every yearbook for the school there. It's the graduating class of 1940, whatever it was. There's like 2 people in it. That kind of thing. But and they have them set up to where you can flip through the graduating class throughout the years, all the way up to today.
Yeah,
and
the big
it's just
photo
amazing. Panel. Yeah, to just even just looking at like people's hairstyles, the clothes they wore, and you kind of start wondering about what was a daily life like for this tiny little town back in those days. Pre-radio for most cases. For some of those things, forget TVs and internet and stuff like that. It's pretty fascinating to look back in time at small town Kansas. It's very, very interesting stuff.
It is, and like I said, it is super fun.
It is. It's a good day.
Fun. Everybody is super friendly.
Vendors. They have a parade.
Yeah,
they have all kinds of fun stuff,
and people dress up. They dress up their dogs. It's fun.
Yes, that is true. So come out if you can. It's right in the middle of Kansas. Geneseo, Kansas. It's near Hutchinson.
You make a whole weekend of it and go and see the Cosmosphere and the salt mines, and then head over for the day for the Kansas UFO Day. You can't go see it though, but that's on private property.
Is that open to the public?
No,
not
unfortunately.
Open to the public, but it is really interesting. We'll talk about that again one of these days.
Yeah.
I promise you I'm going to learn how to fly that drone so we can get some good pictures.
Yay.
I may have to hire a 10-year-old to teach me how to do it, but we will do it. And then coming up in August 8th, we're going to have our Border Town Paracon right here in Caney, Kansas. It looks to be like it's going to be a really good year. And we're looking forward to seeing it. If you can get away, if you are in the the southeast Kansas area or within an easy drive, like I said, it's free. There's places to eat. I think we're going to have the taco truck again this year. And let me tell you, the food was amazing.
Yeah. Very good.
Anytime I see it parked down here, if I see it before I've already picked up dinner or fixed dinner, that's where we're having it.
Coyote tacos.
It is good. So come on out, and it should be a lot of fun. And like I said, you get to talk to everybody. Nobody hides from you. It's a great way to network with people who are interested in the same things you are. So
we bring all 3 camps together. We've got the UFO people, we've got the ghost people, we've got the cryptid people, and everybody gets together. We're going to have a class on learning how to dowse this time around.
So, on that one.
Yeah.
Yep. It'll be great fun. We've got raffles and vendors all day and food and concessions. So, and like Pam said, if you are not in the area, we also show it live on YouTube. So you can watch all the panels and the presentations as they come along.
Yep. And we'll have links to T-shirts that you can buy to commemorate the event. We're happy to provide you links for that. And
Go to BordertownParanormal.com. It's under the merch link. They're
Yep.
there now. So,
That's right. All right. Well, I don't have a whole lot else. Well, actually, I have a whole lot else, but 3 a.m. comes a lot early, so we're not gonna stay for another hour and a half. But do look into this. Like I said, if you've been following this for years, it wasn't a whole lot of new stuff, but just the fact that they're starting to acknowledge some of this stuff really is kind of big news. And please stop in again next time and speculate and chew the fat with us, and we'll have a good time talking about it.
for
All
sure.
right. You guys got anything else?
I'm
Yeah.
good.
All right. Well,
Fun.
good night, everybody. Check us out on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And do get on Amazon Music and check out the music for our intro provided by Ultraterrestrials. The album is Catastrophic Disclosure. We might have mentioned that a couple times, and I found it pretty amusing. So check them out. They're a great bunch, and they've got a lot of really fun music. It's kind of a UFO inspired surf vibe to it. So I really dig it. So
Very
all
cool.
right, guys. Well, everybody have a good evening, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Good night.
Night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Eventually.